Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And Warner Brothers is splitting in two, and one of those divisions of Warner Brothers is going to take all the debt with it.
Oh, you mean like we said was going to happen?
Just as we said was going to. Yeah, we said this. We said
Shocker.
This is what these companies do. A lot of the reason that they do these splits, and it's kind of like what I think Ubisoft is looking at too, is they basically will divide up the company and saddle one of the divisions with a bunch of debt so they can basically get a clean start on the division that counts. So the stuff that they want, they're going to put with David Zaslav, and the other stuff, they're saying they're probably going to sell a bunch of it off. A lot of TV networks.
Usually they do that and they sell it. And they sell it with the debt to somebody else. And then they're debt free, and somebody else, if they're stupid enough to buy it, is saddled with it. Or they'll split it up among different things so it's not as daunting and then sell off those things, but with debt attached.
Yeah, it's a garage sale. This is what they're going to do. They're having a big ass garage sale. We're going to talk about it. Apparently, DC Comics is going to be affected by this as well. They're going to go under this new company, which is Streaming and Studios from Warner Brothers. So let's talk about this. Let's try to make sense of it. Basically, this tells me that this company is bleeding out, and they're just trying to get rid of the dead weight. Kind of like Transformers the movie, where they're all inside Astro Train, except now they're all inside David Zaslav, and they're all just pushing all the half-dead Decepticons out.
Okay, that's a weird one. But I was just thinking that wouldn't it be nice if you could just take all your debt and spit it off to another company and then say, oh, that's another company. It's not mine now. Wouldn't that be nice? You know,
change your name. It's no longer
Right?
your debt. Hey, I don't have to pay my student loans. I changed my name to Joe.
I now identify as something different, so
Yeah.
I spun that debt off into my old self.
Right.
And if you asked me to pay that, you're a bigot.
I don't know what you're talking about, IRS. You're looking for another guy. And it all got spun off. Oh, we got divorced. My wife took all my debt with her.
Oh, yeah, you got divorced. Who's the one that cheated? Okay, all the debt goes with you. Okay.
Yeah, right. Individuals can't do it. Companies have all kinds of tricks that they can use to lighten their load a little bit. So let's talk about this and what could potentially happen. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. You'll get a woohoo if you do.
Woohoo!
So this is coming from Deadline. Warner Brothers Discovery's David Zaslav, Gunnar Wiedenfels breakdown split that will see standalone companies free and clear for M&A. So for those of you who don't know, that's mergers and acquisition. That means whatever is going with Wiedenfels is up for sale.
Yep. So he's the one that's kind of like getting pushed out.
Yeah, and the thing is all the TV networks, including like Cartoon Network and all that stuff. From what I understand, CNN and all that.
You know what, though? I would love to see Cartoon Network and things get bought by somebody who gives a shit and bring it back.
I could see them just producing content for Netflix. I think that's what's going to happen. They've actually got some stuff in the pipeline right now, but it looks like it's going to go to streaming.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that they're going to sell that stuff off anyway. Sell Cartoon Network to somebody else who can produce stuff for Netflix or whatever. But that they can actually bring back stuff that people want. They can actually do something with it, because it's kind of sad that it's just being flushed.
Yeah. I mean, it is, but everything has its time, right?
But we told you guys this was going to happen, that they were going to
this is the oldest trick in the book.
The debt.
Yep. And it's going to be allowed under the Trump administration a lot easier, I think, than it would have under the Biden administration or the Harris administration.
Well, it doesn't matter. It depends whoever paid them the most, they'll go along with it.
Right. But yeah, the company's in trouble. So let's see. Wiedenfels is getting his own company to run. Will soon be open season for M&A. Discovery Plus and HBO Max are going their separate ways. They never made sense together, because Discovery was all live action slop, and HBO Max is all scripted. So
wait, real quick, he's taking the HBO, which is getting gone, the Discovery or the HBO?
I think
Max?
he's taking all the TV stuff. They're saying, but well, let's see here. Yeah, most of it's going to go
like Discovery. Is it going to go with which one?
The majority of Warner Brothers Discovery's $37 billion in debt is going to be spun off with TV networks, CEO says. Not insignificant portion will remain with Streaming and Studios and with David Zaslav. So basically, whatever Zaslav doesn't take in the divorce is up for sale.
That's what I was wondering, because he came from Discovery. But anyway, what were you going to say? You said it was a story, and I didn't mean to.
No, I was going to say about Discovery, because last time we talked about this, this is really sad. We talked about Pig Royalty and how much we like Pig Royalty. It was on Discovery. and it went missing. We're like, why is Pig Royalty no longer on the platform? You can't find it anywhere. And unfortunately, I looked into it and found out that Nugget, who was basically the star of the show, little boy that did the pig showing, well, he took his own life about a year ago, and apparently they just took all the episodes off the platform. And that was a real bummer, and I feel horrible because he was only like 13, 14 years old. So, you know, I think given some of the drama on that show, I'm sure it probably messed with him quite a bit. But if you're wondering what happened to Pig Royalty, as I
don't think most people are, but
I love that show. R.I.P. Nugget. That was awful. Awful news to find out. Anyway, that's like the only thing I watched on Discovery was that show.
But I was just asking because Zaslav came from there. So that's why I was wondering, is he keeping it or is he getting rid of it?
Well, they're not saying what's going where. So let's see here. They said the split is probably happening quicker than people thought it was going to be the case. Now it's out here, and I think it's indicative of continuing change, continuing transformation going off in our business, said the chairman of Sony Pictures. Okay. So like Comcast before, Warner Brothers is splitting its high potential streaming and studios business from declining but hardworking global networks. Zaslav will run the former. His CFO and top lieutenant Wiedenfels is the latter. Now we're focused on the next phase of transformation, he said. But let's see. He said they're going to discuss this split. First, ticking off steps in a complex integration they say they've achieved in order to get to this point. That includes retooling HBO and expanding it internationally, cutting $5 million in non-content costs, and imposing greater discipline on the film studio.
Okay, so translation. They gave it a new logo, a new name again, and then they brought back to HBO Max. They laid off a bunch of people.
Yeah,
and they're like cutting a bunch of stuff that isn't going to go.
Yeah,
translation.
Now this is interesting though, because remember they said that they thought that Michael DeLuca and Pam Abdi's jobs were on the line. They're in charge of the movie studios. Well, I think Minecraft saved their asses.
Yeah, I think so too.
And now Superman, from everything I can see, unless the movie is just absolute dog shit, I think more people are excited about that than they are Fantastic Four. Normies are more excited about Superman.
Yeah, I don't think Fantastic Four is going as well as Disney hoped. But,
no.
You know, we'll see what happens.
So, I mean, yeah, and it comes out a week or two before Fantastic Four. So Zaslav downplayed that side of the business, calling it the smallest part and hit-driven compared with the reliably massive TV studio that cranks out series across the industry. Discovery Plus will land firmly within global networks. Some Discovery content may appear on HBO Max through commercial agreements, but that's to be determined. So they're not really saying what's going where.
The global networks was that Zaslav or is it the other guy?
I think that's the other guy.
Okay, I'm surprised because he came from there.
Streaming and studios, yeah. So streaming and studios, that'd probably be their HBO content, their basically whatever's profitable or whatever they think they have a future with will go to streaming and studios, and then global networks will go to the other guy, I believe. But they're not saying like, you know, who's getting what, but basically we're gonna split the company and we're gonna offload the debt.
Yeah, that's what we want to talk about the most is they're offloading the debt into one of the branches. Well, the branch that he's not running, and then they're probably going to start offering M&A and stuff up for sale.
Yeah,
with debt that you'll have to buy the debt too.
$37 billion in debt is going to be spun off into global networks with.
How is it's even allowed? But it is. And they do it all the time.
I mean, it's the thing that gets me too. Is people are like, "Oh, this movie's going to turn a profit," but I'm like, how much? Are you really even like, look, if this were an individual instead of a company, can you imagine being like, oh, I'm, $10 million in debt, but oh my gosh, guys, last week I made $500.
Yeah.
You're not up $500. You're still $10 million in debt. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't make any sense. You're basically just keeping the sand from slipping through the hourglass,
Well, no, now they're just putting it in a new hourglass and saying it's not mine.
Right. Resetting
Sticky cheese, not touching it.
Yeah. And it's like at that point, the money doesn't even mean anything. If it's that easy to get rid of debt. And then I'm also like, if you're an individual, if these companies don't have to pay their bills, why do you have to pay yours?
Well, yeah, exactly.
If the government
they're paying the politicians.
If your government is not paying its bills, why do you have to pay yours? You know what I'm saying? Like none of it means anything because they just push the debt around, but it's all this like imaginary number.
But careful.
Anyway.
Careful, because you're going to get in trouble for saying that.
Somebody's like listening to this video, like, yep, that's it. But
I'm not
it's
paying
like
my debt. It's Clownfish's fault.
Well, no, because I'm not. Think about it. Like they'll come after your aunt or whatever who sold $1,000 worth of stuff on Etsy, but they're not going to go after some big corporation that owes billions of dollars. They're just going to push that debt around.
They're allowed to offload it to somebody else.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that doesn't really seem fair, does it? Doesn't seem very fair to me. Anyway, they said it's too early to talk about a target capital structure. We haven't made final decisions yet. There's a lot we need to work through between now and when the deal closes. Wiedenfeld said a couple things can be said. Number one, it's safe to assume the majority of the debt is going to live with global networks and a smaller portion, but not insignificant, on streaming studios.
Whatever they couldn't offload.
Yeah. So they're not even saying they said, let's see, global networks. Okay, so Zaslav Streaming and Studios will consist of Warner Brothers Television, Warner Brothers Motion Picture Group, DC Studios, HBO, and HBO Max, and their film and TV libraries. Okay, so basically anything that's worth anything goes with Zaslav.
Okay.
The second business, Global Networks, will include entertainment, sports, and news television brands around the world. CNN, TNT Sports, Discovery, free-to-air channels across Europe, and digital products such as the profitable Discovery Plus streaming service and Bleacher Report. In other words, Zaslav gets the cool stuff. Streaming and Studios has all the prestige, and most of the future. Wiedenfeld will be in charge of what presently makes reliable money, but he also inherits all the downside based on industry trends and, most of the debt. Basically, he's going to be in charge of having a big-ass garage sale, I think.
Probably eventually. They're like, some of it makes money, I swear.
And I think what's going to happen with, and we said this before in regards, and we'll talk about DC Comics here, but we said this before in regards to Cartoon Network. What is going to happen with that is Cartoon Network will become a brand that creates occasional streaming content, but I think Cartoon Network, the network, will probably go away.
Yeah, probably.
It'll be Cartoon Network
unless someone can buy it and save it in some way.
But why? Why bother? If no one's watching
it has to make money, and they're not. If it's not making money now,
no
one's going to be interested in it. But then that's my next question: how are they going to offload some of this stuff if it's tied to debt? Because they would decide to sell it if it's not worth much. Who's going to pay for it?
Yeah. And at that point, like what do you even, because they're not making.
At that point, what you do is you run your company to the ground for 5 years, prove that it's that you're not making money, and then say, we're bankrupt on that company. That happens. Debt is erased.
Yeah, it's so weird because people are like, the YouTubers don't understand how the business works. And it's like, no,
please.
Actually, I come from a corporate background. I've seen these tricks. We know these tricks. This is what they do. Again, these companies get off what people, you can run a company into the effing ground and still escape with a golden parachute.
Yeah. That's what happens all the time. And that's like common knowledge, but it's
Joanne Fabrics case.
Oh, I'm so mad about that. Still so pissed about that.
Toys R Us. So many retail.
And those are both part of the same kind of situation where these investors came in and ran to the ground because they cashed out and then they tanked the company. Yeah. And it's just like there's got to be stuff set up against this. But back to your point about people saying stuff, it always amuses me. Like Clownfish TV doesn't know what they're talking about. They don't know anything about animation, and everything we said came to pass. They don't know anything about comics, and everything we say comes to pass. They don't know anything about studios in Hollywood and how the unions and all that crap, and pretty much everything we said came to pass because it's not that hard. It's common sense.
All you have to do is pay attention and look at patterns.
Yes, and, it's really not that hard.
Know a couple of people who see where things are going 6, 12, 18 months down the road. Here's what you do, guys. Here's what you do. You pull your head out of your ass. It's not hard.
Take
a look around and you can see
what's some fresh air, and then you'll be like, oh, I can think now. Oh, I see this stuff. Yeah, I see that's going to happen. It's really not hard. Just pull your head out of your own butthole.
It actually is not hard. It actually is not that hard. Anyway, I gotta be careful because anybody can do what we do, and then we'll just replace us with AI. So DC Comics is gonna have new owners then too. It's basically the same company, just now with much less debt. But they said they have according to Bleeding Cool, they have a 10-year plan for DC for Superman, and it's movie focused. So I don't,
Shocker.
That's the thing. So yeah, DC at some point, I'm telling you, based on what I've seen in the past, at some point in time, it is not going to make sense for DC Comics to publish monthly comic books anymore. And I think that they will eventually license out their comic book production, possibly like a Skybound type deal, right? Like just give it to people that actually care about, but you're going to get a smaller line, but the people working on those books will probably care more about
And you'll probably get better books. Yeah.
You'll probably get better books.
So they have less debt. Is that some of the debt they uploaded?
No, they're keeping DC.
No, I know.
Oh no, DC's debt. Yeah, it might be.
So
all the box office bombs that they had
basically, it sounds like anything they could offload, they offloaded to the other company. But there's some things you're just not going to be able to offload because it's too closely tied. But they said now it has less debt. I'm like, well, the only way that has less debt now is either they paid stuff off, which I doubt, or they shifted it.
Yeah, that's it. They're just pushing it around. And I do believe one of these days, in a very, very near future, either Disney or Warner Brothers is going to blink and they're going to say it doesn't make sense for us to own a comic book publisher anymore. Let some other pissant company that wants to do it. We deal in billions and billions of dollars, and God knows they're not making billions of dollars in comics.
If you can pay, someone can pay you to license it, because that's what happened.
Yeah.
That they'd have to pay you to license it, pay you royalties on it, and you don't have to do anything, and they have to foot all the bills. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah. Yeah, and honestly, I mean, I'm looking at like Energon Universe, and they were trying this. They're trying this at IDW with Marvel Comics. They kind of gave them a test run with a couple of books, and they dropped the ball. But I think
shocker, IDW dropped the ball. Never.
But I could totally see them being like, yeah, we're just going to let Skybound or Dynamite or somebody handle our DC superheroes, and just pare it back to 10, 12 titles a month, and then that's it. And it's not our problem. It's not our problem if the comic book direct market collapses. And right now is a fantastic time to pull the trigger on that because of the Diamond situation. Like, nobody knows where things are going to go. Mm-hmm. So it's like, why are we even doing this? Why are we doing this? I mean, I would be asking, as much as I love comic books, I'd be asking myself that question. If I were in charge, I'd be like, are we actually making a profit? Are we actually turning any of these new comics into movies? No, we're not. Because we've got, 80 years of history. We can just go back or we could just make stuff up on the fly. Why are we doing this? Why are we publishing these books? Just because we always have, that's not a good enough reason. And I can totally see them doing it, but just my opinion. But things are going to change. Lots of stuff is going to get sold off. Cartoon Network as a network, I believe, will be done in the very near future. I mean, the website's already gone. They're already getting ready for it.
Oh, that's a given. I mean, It was obvious.
All right, we're going to wrap it up.
Mm-hmm.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.